Good evening all. Don't normally do evening videos, the lighting's going to be artificial, but this is not so much about the visuals, this is about the sound, because I want to test this digital voice recorder, which I got on eBay really quite cheaply. It was £10.99. So I'm not expecting miracles, but I've had a little play with it, and actually I think it's going to do what I want it to do. Instructions. Most of the text does ring true with the operating system in here, but this little image bears no relation at all. This shows little left and right VU meters, and actually I did buy a different version of this, and it was twice the price, and I started there because I thought, well, it's going to be twice as good, and it really wasn't. It was awful. And that had little left and right VU meters, but when you stopped talking, the VU meters kept moving, and in fact all it was an animation of VU meters. They weren't proper VU meters at all. So I sent that back, got my £20 back, £21 from Amazon, and decided to buy this even cheaper one on eBay, and I'm actually quite happy with this one. Set of headphones, which the other one didn't have actually, only work in one ear, so they're no good. A really rather poor lavalier microphone, clip-on microphone, various leads, USB, and a telephone adapter, which means that this can do audio recordings. Now, interestingly, although it says on the box stereo recording, it doesn't do stereo recording. It does stereo playback of MP3s in the sort of music player functionality. But when it records in mono. It will record at 384 kbps, which by my reckoning is about 48 kilohertz. So it should have a bandwidth of over 20 kilohertz at that rate. Recorded file in WMA and MP3 format. No, the recorded file is actually in WAV format. So let's switch this thing on. In fact, I've left it on. This switch is rather flimsy, so I'm just going to leave it on all the time. It does power down itself. If you press and hold play, it powers up. It has a really rather tiny display, LCD backlit, and from any place in the menu structure you can do one button recording, and I think the idea of that is that you don't miss anything. So you can just hit record and it starts recording, but it's not instant, anything but. It takes quite a while to get going. Now I'm just going to check some settings. Oh, when it goes to display backlight turned off, all buttons do nothing other than turn the backlight back on, and you've got to remember that because that even applies to the one button record. Okay, settings, let's go into that. System time, I'm not bothered about that. Record type. Okay, we will do long. Now that's long play, so that's the poorest quality. I think it's 32 kbps, which means 4 kilohertz sampling rate, which is going to give us maximum audio frequency of about 2 kilohertz. That's pretty much telephone style. Okay, down to record from. We've got microphone, which I'll use. Now it's got left and right microphones here, but because it records in mono, it doesn't really need 2 microphones. I think it might actually have 2 microphones, but yeah, it's mono recording. So we'll record from the microphone. Now the selections here, record from microphone, audio input, and tel record, all they do is actually affect the input gain, and it will record from microphones if nothing's plugged into this microphone socket, and it'll record from a line in if something is plugged into there. So if you want to plug in a line in, probably the best setting is audio because it has the minimum gain. Telephone record seems to have a bigger gain than microphone, which is really odd. But I'm going to record at microphone gain, so it's reasonably loud. What have we got? Monitor set. Yeah, you can have this thing, if you've got a line in, you can have it feed through while it's recording to headphones or a speaker. But it only does that when it's recording. It doesn't do it when it's in standby. So I think that's what I want, just low quality recordings. Let's actually make the first recording. So from anywhere, even in the settings menu, I should be able to press this. Now the first press only brings the backlight back on. But if I do another press, it should go into record. And as soon as the red light comes on there, this should now be recording in low quality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix and by the way, the handling noise is quite shocking. Although actually you may not hear that in the lowest quality recording because it doesn't have the bandwidth. I'm going to mix the recording that this is making with the sound that's coming from my camera in the edit, and that's really part of the reason I'm doing this video, because I just want to, let me just bring that back, any button won't affect the recording. In fact, I think when that goes off, even stop doesn't work as stop, it just works as bring the backlight back on. However, I'm going to stop that now, see if I can align that in time with the sound coming from the camera, and you'll get to hear what it's like at 4 kilohertz or 32k bps. Can you see that? Yeah, I think you can just about see that it's 32k or 032 WAV. Okay, we can't see that. Recording 7. So let's put that in the edit file. So why am I doing all this? Well, this is for the Vocoder project. When that thing's finished, rather than just play it through a speaker and have that come into the camera's microphone, which doesn't really work because these phones have a noise cancelling thing and it tends to cancel out background noise. So I want to capture natively the output from the, it's an analog audio project, and I want you to be able to hear it on the audio track of what you're hearing on YouTube. So that's why I bought this. I was almost considering buying an expensive one. I was going to get the Zoom H2N, but it's 130 quid and this is 10 quid. So this is going to have to do. Right, let's do another recording. Let's bring the backlight back on. I'll go into settings. I want recording type. No, I don't want that. I want settings. Go into that. Oh, I've gone the wrong way. That's all it is. Record type. Right, instead of long, I'm going to do, it calls it long, fine, and HQ, but then on the display it calls it 32, 196, and 384, which is a bit bizarre. So let's go to fine. No, I want to go into type. The user interface is absolutely terrible on this, so let's go fine record without the VOR. The VOR I think is voice activated recording. So let's okay that. Right, that should do it. Let's try a recording. Now, is it going to say yeah? So we've got 192. As soon as that light comes on, we'll have 192. Now, this time we're going to have a much better quality recording. 192 divided by 8, I think, was 24 kilohertz. So this should capture at least up to 10 kilohertz of audio bandwidth. And what I'm going to do here, because the audio quality, my fan heater's come on. That's probably no good because let's turn that off. Normally, the noise cancellation on the phone cancels out background noise like this, but this will probably pick it up. So let's get that display back on. Because this quality is going to be quite good, I'm going to mix it with the quality, the audio from the phone, but misalign them so we get some sort of horrible echo effect. See what that sounds like. Okay, let's stop the recording, save that, put it in the edit. I'm using Microsoft Movie Maker, which I always use for my video editing. Let's put that in. Yeah, it's interesting. So I'm getting used to, actually I haven't peeled that off, have I? Let's peel that off so I can see it a bit better. I'm getting used to taking the WAV file from here and putting it into Movie Maker and putting it on as a soundtrack. That looks like it's going to work quite well. Okay, let's now go into settings and put this on the highest recording type, which will be the HQ. That's 384 kbits per second, which is 48 kilohertz. Should record at least 20 kilohertz of audio. Right, let's start that going. And once again, it's when that red light comes on that it actually starts recording. Actually ever so slightly delayed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind down the volume from my phone camera microphone so that we're now listening only to the sound that's being captured by this little voice recorder. You should hear that it's mono. If I tip it onto the left microphone, onto the right microphone, you can actually see the red LED through there. It shouldn't make any difference because, as I say, it's mono. You'll probably hear all this handling noise, and now you'll hear it in Marvellous high resolution handling noise. So let's see what that sounds like. And I think that kind of in essence completes my test. Oh, I think there is one more actually. Let's press stop. And now I'm going back to the phone microphone. Now I'm sure you've heard, because I can hear it in the editor, that the sound from the microphones is a bit distorted. It's clipping. I'm hoping that the line in won't be like that, that it'll be a much purer sound. But I just wanted to try something now. So let's just start recording. I know you have to press it once the backlight is on. 384 WAV. The red LED is on. It's doing Rec 001, is that correct? Oh, I don't know, or is it 002? I'm going to plug in this lavalier microphone. Apologies for the horrible noise it's going to make when I do this. Right, that should have worked. And handling noise aside, I'll just hold that sort of somewhere near me. But I've got a funny feeling this is going to be pretty awful. Let's stop that recording. Yeah, I remember this not being very good. Let's see. So I think I'm now kind of used to making recordings with this thing, putting them in Movie Maker, synchronizing them. Movie Maker's terrible. It just keeps crashing constantly. So I'm having a bit of a battle with this thing. But that's kind of really all I wanted to do with this in this video. I'm kind of halfway there, I think. So for the moment, cheerio.